Greetings, folks. Welcome back to Share What You're Making. I'm Bacon, and not with me is Chair, which means I have the enviable task of doing our signature awkward intro all by myself. So, yeah. Yep, nailed it. All right. On our episode today, we have Penguin from most recently Heroes of Evermore, or at least that's what we talked about. He's, of course, running several projects, as we discuss in the intro. But for today, we'll be talking to him about Heroes of Evermore, his latest NFT gaming project, and what NFT gaming is and means to the space in general. Also coming up, we have MetaFest. I think it's mentioned in our chat with Penguin, but it's basically the annual MetaGame conference. It's pretty sweet. It's all online, so you don't have to worry about traveling or staying in a hotel room or COVID or anything like that. You can stay in the comfort of your own home and tune in or jump into the metaverse for the metaverse events. I believe the metaverse events are primarily in Neos, but you can go to the website for details. And that is metafest.metagame.wtf. So again, that's meta, M-E-T-A, fest, F-E-S-T, .metagame.wtf. And without further ado, here is our interview with Penguin.
This podcast is brought to you by MetaGame. Visit us at metagame.wtf, wiki.metagame.wtf, and follow us on Twitter at MetaFan. MetaGame, only if you stay up late at night. Welcome back to the show, everyone. We are here with the CTO of Mud.xyz, a core member of the Meta Factory, a platinum member of MetaGame, the founder of NTFA.io, Never Touch Fiat, again, the founder of the Defiant Pixel Society, a member of Raid Guild, the tech lead of Rainbow Rolls. He is a small flightless bird. We have with us today Penguin. Thank you for being with us today.
Pretty sure you missed like 3 titles in there, Chair. Pretty sure there's at least 3 more.
Yeah, busy bird. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's wonderful to be back.
Yeah. First recurring guest. And just like we prophesized in the first episode. I believe we prophesized that anyway.
Yeah, I was traveling on that first episode. My head was kind of like scrambled.
Oh, man.
It feels like so long ago, but it's only been but a few months. And here we are, episode 6 or 7, interviewing Penguin again. Today, you're here to talk about something specific. You have been building a game, sir. You have been building a game that I have been playing a lot and battling with a bunch of seasoned veterans as a young neophyte, dare I say noob, trying to learn the ways. Tell us about Battle for Evermore. Tell us about Mud.xyz, how it came about, what your role is. Give us the full Monty, and full disclosure, I am a huge simp and player for Battle for Evermore, so
And I'm sure I'm soon to be.
we're about to go deep.
Great, yeah, thank you so much. So the core idea behind what we're doing with Battle for Evermore is trying to make text-based games fun for everyone. And the way that we did that is by making a lot of the enhancements that people expect from like a phone game and like a real-time strategy game, or even like a MOBA like Dota. So we have like key objectives that teams will compete against, and it's very familiar. So we're trying to help them with controls that are familiar, like moving with WASD and pressing buttons instead of having to type everything out. So we've significantly improved the quality of the game for people that have never played a MUD before. And
real quick, MUD means, how do you define MUD? What's that acronym for?
yeah, that means a multi-user dungeon. So it's pretty much the predecessor of an MMO. And in fact, there's a lot of arguments that a MUD is MMO as well.
Is this like Ashran's Call? Is that what we're talking here?
I'm not sure Ashran's call. So yeah, we're definitely a unique experience in game. So it's kind of like a roguelike. So it's got a mix of ASCII, a mix of fantasy, and a lot of like real time kind of immersive combat.
Penguin, talk a little bit about how involved you have been in specifically in the mud sphere, in the mud ecosystem. I know you have a long history within that space.
Yeah, so I've actually been really active in the mud space and in the mud coder guild for a number of years. I've been in charge of Waterdeep and running Waterdeep, which has been online for 24 years. August, it'll be 25 years this year. So basically, since 1997, we've been online, and it's a fantasy world based on Forgotten Realms and Final Fantasy VI. So it's kind of like what would happen if Kefka's army would break through the realms and start harvesting people from the magic worlds to complete spells. So yeah, and then I've created a whole bunch of other muds. I did a couple of podcasts with people around text-based gaming. We even did a voice acting short called Lore of Yore from the Mud Coders Guild, which got us together to tell some of the stories of some of the mud in like a fantasy setting that we made. So I made it my life, and basically
Is that audio only or is that video as well?
it it was audio only, but
Audio only. Okay.
yeah, essentially I started playing when I was 12, and it really shaped who I became and gave me an outlet into all this fantasy stuff, like on you know and becoming like active in these virtual worlds and creating virtual worlds and interacting with people kind of on the metaverse level that a lot of people are just getting into now, and like dealing with trolls and scammers and catfish on the internet. There's like a whole bunch of slews when you start like actively involving with the people of the web. So a large part of that is networking, and that's how the games really evolved. Is like it's a chat room that you can all play essentially Dungeons and Dragons in, but we've made that hyper fast now, so people are like actively casting fireball by pressing one instead of rolling dice.
That's an interesting point you make though about how like a lot of us, I don't know, I would assume this probably includes your chair. I don't know you that well, I guess, but that a lot of us like grew up playing video games and interacting in these virtual worlds, and so when it came time to like this metaverse stuff and interacting with like crypto stuff, which is worldwide, right? We kind of just naturally fell into it, right? Start working with people, but then like I go like tell like my parents, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been in MetaGame, worked with this guy, like these guys are like in Croatia and like out in California and stuff. Like, wait, you're working with people like in Croatia and like in Europe on the daily. I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's the internet, like it's worldwide. But it kind of boggles their minds, right? Because they haven't worked on and played a line in like different spaces, right? And so like to them, this whole notion of like these global organizations, it's like to us it comes somewhat naturally from like the past history of video games. You're always playing with people wherever, right? But to the rest of the world, it's almost like a barrier to entry somewhat.
Penguin, you have had so much time in the gaming space now, both as a player and have been in charge of a game developed and have been running a game for so long that you're probably seeing a lot of, or I would say, how do you compare what you have seen in terms of cycles and popularity previous to the NFT boom and now what we're starting to see with the NFT craze and where we're at with NFT gaming?
Yeah, so I think one of the really hard parts about where the NFT industry was, and like is going to be is that the people that are really good at marketing are not often the people that are really good at building solid projects. And the people that are out there building things are a lot of times doing it because they like building things, and they're doing it to help people, or they're doing it to explore. They've got a strong passion with what they're doing, and like marketing is kind of not their strong point. So the people that I've seen that promise a lot of things and kind of don't deliver any of them are kind of the opposite, right? They're really good at selling things, and they know what the buzzwords that kind of trigger people to going. So there's always like this noise level that the real projects have got to overcome, and the same is true for any projects. And so like solid projects like Axie Infinity or Zed's Run or Battle for Evermore that are making a game that our people can play, and there's a team that's dedicated to making it happen rather than kind of pushing hype. It really it shows like where the teams go and like what the potential is like in the space rather than like how expensive your NFT is. So that's one of the things that I've always kind of pushed is like all our games need to be fun to play. Like I the token price is kind of secondary, and like obviously I want people to make money, but the main thing is that the game needs to be fun to play, and ownership over characters and assets and the things in the game means that we don't hold any of the data. So that's like one of the big kind of paradigms too. It's not like if people buy a hero, you're not. I don't get that money. One of the other players gets that money, and the main thing is making an ecosystem and economy that works is difficult. But we really strive to make all the characters kind of fun to play and make it also kind of competitive. And we're building in different game modes right now to kind of fulfill a bunch of different needs. I think a social aspect to the games and even like story aspects. So we've got kind of a deep lore that we're building in. But I think NFTs right now are suffering from the hype, right? There's that oversaturation of people. Even South Park is talking about NFTs. And of course, there's going to be the pullback from that. And the people that had inflated promises and haven't actually done anything with their projects, they are going to suffer. And the people that are here building, that would have been here building anyways, are the people that were important and where a lot of the value was actually created in the first place. Like Bored Apes did a lot of things, right off the bat, and it has been a constant value provider. And they planned out their stuff. And the same with like any of the major and successful projects is like there's a team that's there to support them and to keep pushing kind of no matter what, you know?
Hmm. I want to ask a question just to really drive this point home because this is something we built on the last episode. And so I'm going to ask you kind of a stupid question you already answered, but just to really drive the point home. Why did you choose to make Heroes for Evermore as like NFT, Web3, blockchain based game instead of just a traditional just game?
So it really came on the heels of the Loot project. And I was brought on after the NFT sale. So it's kind of like providing utility to all these NFTs that have been generated that were in this world that I was pitching. So 2 years before this happened, I was actually talking about doing this, but the NFT space wasn't ready to kind of understand digital assets as they were then. And so now that they kind of understand how they can be used and there's a market for them, now there's a reason for people to play the game. They all have these characters. We actually gave away characters as well, so anyone could mint a character for free. There was no mint for the team either, so there's no reserve. So there was a lot of kind of fairness in the way that tokens were distributed. And
So if I'm understanding this, correct me if I'm wrong here. Let's see if I can get this right. The kind of value proposition here. So the concept is that you have all these NFTs, right, that are user owned, right? Users own them and resell them. They're almost like trading cards of game components. And then you're basically trying to organically create projects that develop to make games for those components, right? Is that kind of the gist here?
exactly.
So like you start with the concept of loot, which for listeners who may not be familiar with loot, what loot was they were text-based NFTs. So normally NFTs like are pictures or other files or whatever, right? Or other sets of data. But these were just strictly text-based, and it was just like a contents of like a loot bag that you'd use for an adventure, right? So it's like, oh, you've got your rope, you've got your dagger, you've got your whatever, right? Like that was kind of the concept of loot. And then the concept was that you have this like gear, because like most adventuring is based around like what loot do you get, right? So you have this loot, and they can start making adventures for that. And so people have made these other projects, and so like kind of what you're building on here is kind of that same concept where you've built this game that uses these NFT hero characters, right? But somebody else could potentially make another game, and all the players own their own characters. So you can take your character to any game that uses like this system, right? Potentially. I mean, I think Heroes for Evermore is probably the only one right now, right?
Well, we have loot built into us as well, so you'll be able to use loot. Right now, you can use Bored Apes or Mutant Apes, and we can pretty much integrate any other project
So already,
that wants to partner with us. We can build them into our game.
so already realizing the vision then.
Yeah,
Yeah, if people can just collect all these components and combine them all together into these different games and different projects that organically arise. That's nice.
and that was one of the problems. Is like loot has a lot of users too, with especially through synthetic loots and all the derivatives, more loot. But there's not really a game that you can use them in until now. So that's one of the things is we want to provide value to all these tokens that are promised metaverse kind of interoperability, and just like I want to use them in these other fashions. I want other people to have the chance to. So kind of building a way that makes sense and works in our world is kind of where it started.
So loot happens. The game is built around, or loot happens. The Heroes of Evermore NFTs are minted, and then the challenge of sort of building a game around the already created assets is what needs to be done. Like talking about is the challenge that has been undertaken. The cards themselves, they came with traits, they came with classes. The traits have different levels that people with in early gaming we saw that some heroes were absolutely dominant based on trait. Can you talk about balancing the games and how and bringing when bringing in other projects, how what that might look like in terms of NFTs part of it of another collection playing within the game?
Yeah, so obviously balance is kind of always ongoing. What I try to do is usually there's like a period where it's flexible and things will kind of change based on people's feedback and play kind of early in the session, and then we'll kind of lock them, and then we'll have a few tournaments, and once those are kind of set, then those will be set until we have a new batch of skills. And then once those new batch of skills come up, we'll kind of do the same thing. We'll kind of test them for balancing, see do these still make sense given the game parameters. And then once those kind of fit and feel good, then we'll lock those until the next time that we need to do a balancing round. And I think that really kind of comes down to the community's feel rather than the developers thing. That's one of the things that I always kind of hated was like the strong nerf that comes without warning. And that's like the best part about having these tokens be immutable is like no one can be kind of changing the data. I got to make it work with what's already there rather than being able to just have a fix for things. So I think it's always a big part of balance is changing it and making it work for the majority of people. Everyone's always gonna have some complaints, but I think usually 10% of people are kind of 90% of the problems usually. So making sure that you know what the actual people want, not just what the loudest people want, and is kind of key to that balance as well.
All I want is my sorcerer to also have healing abilities, and it can be just my sorcerer, so that's fine.
No chair. Get out of here, chair.
No, I understand how demand for things or how people can sort of ask for things that are not possible. How should new people get into muds or mud.xyz specifically, and like how should new players frame Heroes Forevermore, and like what is the easy onboard for a new player to get going?
Yeah, so most of the activity kind of stems from Discord right now. That's like where the actual community lives. If you get a hero, going into Discord is where we also do the voice chat. So it's a good place to get someone to teach you how to play. I'm working on modes that will also kind of teach you how to play without needing a person there. I realize that that's kind of a scary feeling to a lot of people to kind of hop right in. So I am also working on a game mode actively right now that will teach people how to play the tutorial, and then also a social aspect, the social mode that will always be online where someone won't come along and kill you or be able to hurt you, but you can kind of chat and kind of integrating that into Discord so that it's kind of like the world will exist both on our servers and have Discord to kind of support it.
So mud.xyz, it's mud.xyz, is a good portal for users to get started. From there, you can find the OpenSea link, the official Heroes of Evermore OpenSea, where they can snipe a reasonably priced hero.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap right now. I was able to grab one for like 20 some bucks, I think. And I got a pretty good one for 20 some bucks too. I think it's a good one anyway.
Insider tip, pick a few different classes and a few different attack, heal,
Nah, all heals, baby.
and other options that you have so that you have well balanced both dark and light. Just a suggestion is definitely have a character that is either dark, light, and neutral to or neutral to pick at all time. Just a tip from me.
There are neutral options?
Yeah,
There are neutral options.
Shit.
maybe can I tell you a little bit more about the backstory and kind of like where the game is, get the setting of the world for you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, the lore really focuses around kind of like a world that was fine. It's got the above ground kind of people, the humans and the elves, kind of working in peace, and it's got a class of people that have been living under the mountains. We call them the heroes of darkness, but really they're just the people that have been living underground. So there are things like orcs and goblins and things. They're not necessarily evil, but they don't like the sunlight as much. But there's become some disturbance underground that's caused them to rise and having to kind of conflict with the light world. And so the conflict is really this alignment based battle. And so there are some classes that really don't subscribe to one side or the other, such as marauders or nomads or mercenaries. And then so classes have some of the neutrality, and those are basically like your job, right? If you're out in the middle of the wilderness, you don't really care if the light or the dark is one. But the mercenaries kind of go where the fight leads, right? But most of the other alignments are really kind of affixed to their side. Humans are the only neutral class, a neutral race, because humans have been kind of been working up above ground and below ground, and are also
Am I understanding correctly though that you can have a neutral member of any race because you can have a neutral mercenary character of any race, or
that's right,
okay, cool, or marauder, or what was the third one you mentioned?
a nomad.
Nomad. So nomad, marauder, mercenaries can all be neutral. And that could be any race. And then humans are a neutral race that can go either way, no matter the class.
That's right.
Sweet. All right. I know what you're thinking. Look, I want to be cool like you, Bacon. I want to go to these cool crypto conferences, cool Web3 conferences, find out what's going on, hang out with cool people, hear cool talks, learn some stuff. But I don't want to travel. There's COVID. I don't want to leave my comfy, cozy house. What do I do, Bacon? And I have the answer for you. It's MetaFest. And what is MetaFest, you ask? It's the MetaGame annual virtual conference. That's right, it's virtual. Join in from home, join into metaverse events, have a great time, meet people, hear speeches, all that and more. Just go to metafest.metagame.wtf. Once again, that's metafest.metagame.wtf. It's not a test, it's a fest.
So above ground, below ground, is that how I should be thinking of light and dark within the game context of the game?
That is how it goes. So they kind of emerged from the volcano area, and we'll be showing more of the map and the roadmap that comes out soon. And yeah, we definitely have got kind of this shape of the world and the map that we're going to be sharing, and that will kind of really play into some of the future aspects of the game, and tell like where the different races came from, where their homelands are, and kind of tell the story of the world and what's happening with the conflict. We also have a really kind of unique take on the story where we have two different prophecies that kind of tell of what's happening underground. So we have the Messiah and we have the Deathbringer, which have different prophecies about what's happening and how to stop it, and kind of visions of the future. And they are going to manipulate kind of the time sphere and their prophecies to kind of interact with their world. And so that's kind of the deeper story. But right now, both sides kind of have a feeling of what's coming and a different idea of how to solve it. So
So there's two sides, the light and the dark. Humans are able to align themselves on either side depending on what needs to happen. Are there items? Are there anything else that the players can equip themselves with?
yeah, so that's one of the main things that out trying to tell people about now is the items are coming soon. And that's one of the things we've been working hard on is so we've got the game, we made it fun, we really made the characters kind of balanced. And now one of the things that always kind of makes the game is kind of the reward mechanics. How do I change my character beyond the stats that I have? So that's equipment. We already have equipment based in the game where you can loot parts of your fallen enemy's body and equip them for stats. But I wanted to really give people a chance to have their efforts in the game rewarded with NFTs as well. And so we have a really unique contract that uses the 721As and a unique kind of claim mint function. So we're able to do like Merkle root minting with the 721As with this. So we've got a really unique kind of contract that uses kind of the best in class stuff mixed with stuff people have never seen in a way that makes game items really kind of fun and cheap and easy to use. So it should be cheaper to mint 10 items from us than kind of one item traditionally. And yeah, we've really kind of balanced that.
Which chain is this on again? I don't know if I asked that yet.
We are on mainnet.
Or on mainnet?
Yeah, and there's no fees to play. Like you have to sign to verify what's in your wallet, and obviously you have to have purchased a hero.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've purchased the hero, you just have to be able to sign and to verify that you own that wallet. And yeah,
So we will have items. Items are coming. Items you can already have. You can already use items in game after killing an opponent and using a piece of their body, let's say, as a shield or a whip. The way items sort of tie into what I wanted to talk about and why I really like muds, or this mud being a first timer, is the element of how much of your imagination is required to visualize what's happening within the game sphere. And there is a map, and here, like in Battle for Evermore, there is a map that sort of lets you visualize where you're at within the game. But when there is a battle 4-on-4 between sorcerers and goblins and humans, and using spells and healing and bashing each other or being stuck in a bear trap, it invokes a lot of imagination. And so, and as well as you need to be quickly analyzing what's happening and not being stuck in the imaginative part as well. But talk a little bit about how you think about it in building in that sort of world, and things like with items, you have to remember that you have it on. You have to remember to put it on. You have to remember there's a lot of resources available, but you sort of the talk about sort of the playing, the building a mud, and then the playing a mud mindset. Two-part question.
Sure. Yeah, I think you really touched on the most important part of mudding and the strongest aspect that there is, and that's the imagination. The ability for us to create a world and to create a real feeling comes from the ability to understand what's happening around you and kind of interpret it in your own way. If I were to go out and draw a picture of what the giant spider looks like, you're going to think of what that picture looks like. If you read a giant hairy spider is attacking you, you are picturing what that giant hairy spider looks like, and you're picturing your response to it, just like you would in Dungeons and Dragons or any kind of immersive experience. Is you're no longer thinking of, what does it look like? What did someone draw for me? You're thinking, what is this thing to me? And you're thinking like even your character. Like usually when we're in game, I'm not talking to the person as their name. So, I wouldn't call you Chair. If I were to be playing with you, I'm going to be calling you by your character name, you know? And that's because your utility and role in the game is different than who you are in real life. And that's kind of like one of the immersive factors. And that's why even when we fight, you don't see the other person's name. You see a goblin, right? So instead of seeing the goblin's name, which is on the character sheet, like it's harder to tell, is this a goblin or is this a part of the area? And that's part of the feel. And some of the area will chase you around. And so when you build an area, you know the actual mechanics of the area, you pretty much have to think about all of those before you build the area, and then you kind of build different tools to tell that story. So you build the map, and we've really built some cool tools to make building a map easy. In the future, we have plans to allow people to use those tools too. So if they have access to build on a property, then they can build their own map for it and kind of design some of these mobs and some of these features that I would do. But it's it's a lot more direct to build something this way than it would be to have to build all the 3D assets and render them and figure out how to place them. So my ability to create a unique game experience can be done in an afternoon rather than needing a full team of people. And that's one of the powers of the imagination and writing a story, is like a writer can come in here and write something like interactive fiction that you can actually interact with the entire story and learn about things in a way that me just telling them to you or you just like reading them on the internet isn't going to have the same effect as you figuring something out and like learning through going through. And it's even kind of abstracted away from Battle for Evermore and like what Mud XYZ is. Mud XYZ is like a platform for text-based games. So like making a game based off of metagame that teaches people how to go through metagame is a great way to teach people and like have that onboarding experience in a way that like they actually have to learn and grow and level. So that this is a game that really is the framework for a really powerful framework.
Now that you've said that, that's what we're doing now. So, Penguin Chair, drop all of your myriad of projects. All we're doing now is we're making the metagame game so that we can onboard people to that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be phenomenal. It's gonna be Nova. It's gonna be awesome.
And that could be a really easy level, right? We could make several different levels and kind of take over the map with those experience. So
Yeah.
it's like real ownership over parts of the story. And that's the fun part about muds, is that it doesn't take a team of people to tell a story. It takes you kind of laying out the characters, creating the stage that they play on, and then telling the story. And that's one of the beauties of muds, is that it doesn't take a strong person, right? There's no kind of gender assumption. In fact, there's a lot of really strong mechanics that help role players and writers. So it's usually a very friendly space towards pretty much all people that are trying to tell a story.
If I'm a new player and I want to play right now, what's my best bet? Pick up a nice character on OpenSea, join the Discord, look at the announcements, introduce yourself.
So every Tuesday we have games. Every Tuesday night we have Battle Night. So you can find we'll play for about 2 hours on Tuesday nights. We've been doing Saturdays. We've been playing for about 2 hours. So like right now, there's games going on. There's also a game kind of going on every day. I've been spawning a random match. So if people want to come in, there's at least one match that's active. But then I'm also working on that social area that will kind of always be online that people could go in and kind of learn and talk to each other. That's one of the big kind of steps that we're getting to now is that I was kind of we were in the alpha stage. We were preparing things. So, there weren't really the players to fill up a ton of things. So I didn't want to have a whole bunch of active matches that, would be empty if people wanted to play. I want to make sure that people are playing kind of a balanced experience. And because I think that the team building aspect of it is the best part of it.
Yeah, and so is it primarily competitive for now? It's like a team of one team versus another team in the dungeon. Is that kind of what the experience is for the moment?
We have also done kind of the PvE where people will play on one team and kind of face the area. But yeah, that right now the primary experience is competitive. So you're facing other people, and basically based on what the community kind of wants and needs, we can build those areas and build kind of these different game modes. So we've had a bunch of different game modes, such as Easter mode, which lasted. It was a 3-day event, and
That was fun.
yeah, if you've ever seen Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, and the rabbit,
Yeah, the killer rabbit with mighty sharp teeth.
I made the area that the rabbit was from, Kasgornoth,
Oh man.
and I made the story of the 4 different rabbit families, and so obviously their rabbit bunny families would come out, and some of them were vampire rabbits, some of them were just angry rabbits, but you had to and it counted how many kills, how many rabbit kills you got. No holy hand grenades, but we did select people based on their performance for equipment that we're going to be dropping in this next batch. But yeah, it's kind of like one of those things that given enough time, you can pretty much write anything, right? And that was an event that I think took me about 2 days to come up with the cool new mechanics, and all the rabbits were chasing people around, and you start out and they're pretty aggressive and can kill you. But the other innovative thing there was that other people couldn't attack you. So I made it so that it was, yeah. So I've got different ways to kind of tweak the match to make it more fair, or kind of change the rules.
That was a throwback weekend for me. I spent a good 14 hours killing bunnies. Maybe I'm overestimating by a little bit. Definitely over 10 hours just decimating bunnies, to the point that I thought that there was no way anyone could possibly pass me. Well, I knew it was mathematically possible, but I knew the amount of dedication that it took, and I was passed. I was passed. I ended up getting third overall. Am I bitter about it? No, no. If I was, I would bring it up more. Um, but let's talk about it for a second. No, I'm just kidding. It was a really fun event. I look forward to more, and the prospect of, because I hadn't thought of it in the context of we can um, build our own lore, have our have a custom event, or building a story and lore around a battle event, and seasonally, or it brings out a lot of possibilities. That's really it's a really cool feature to think about. So what's in the future? What's in the next month to the next 2 months, let's say, for Evermore, and then projecting out to, let's say, 1 year. When we're talking in 1 year, what are we going to be looking at that point, do you think, now?
Yeah, so one of the big things that we've tried to do is tell people more about what we've done rather than like what's coming. Just because we didn't want to have these expectations of people being okay. Well, where's that thing that you said was coming? So it kind of like it hurts our ability to kind of build up and kind of give the developers enough time to make the thing. But we do have a roadmap. I'm happy to share some of that stuff. So obviously, I've hinted at the two big ones that I'm here to kind of talk about, and that's the tavern social area and the items. Those ones are kind of like really key to the game being online and available everywhere. So that's kind of like the step going from alpha to kind of really production, right? So we've been promising this game that people could play, and we've been having a lot of tests and play sessions. But this is kind of the evolution for it standing on its own and people having the world that starts becoming their own, and that we can start supporting the game rather than building a lot of different parts to it. So I think the other part that is coming in this next year that I hinted at is that the map, and really kind of using the map to help tell the game status. So I don't want to say too much about that, but it's a huge feature that we're working on that really kind of blows my mind. And I've done a lot of different things, and this is impressive to me. So I hope it's impressive to other people too.
Just a few other things you've done. Just the one that's most impressive out of the just one or two other things you've done.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this it puts a smile on my face to see what we're doing here, and like this is a deep passion project. Even in the mud space, it's unusual to have a team that gets paid to do any of the work. It's usually volunteers, and some people do some stuff, but it's one of the largest kind of muds around right now, and it's because we're not fighting over people that are unwilling to change. We're kind of working with people that want to invest in the future, and they're looking for kind of fun things to do and ways to explore what NFT value is. And that's really what we're doing too, is we're trying to make sure that the NFTs have a utility. We're not kind of dictating what that is, and we're trying to make it fun. We're trying to integrate with other projects and give them utility too, because there's a lot of kind of identity in the projects. But to be able to step into a world and have your own class or tell your story your way is a new way for people to engage with their audience that is really kind of supportive of the mud experience, is telling your story and engaging your people and getting your community involved. So the other thing that is involved with that are guilds, and so that's like if you play, you can kind of also gain points for your organizations, so that as we start turning on some of the reward mechanisms as the game gets more mature, then we can make sure that that flows to the right people and that people have a way to distribute that based on their alliances and the people telling the stories, because we know that a lot of stories aren't just one person, and a battle is not one person that gets won. So being able to work together and form squads to accomplish goals, or we even have leaderboards. So climbing the leaderboard as yourself is one huge accomplishment, and being able to climb the group leaderboard is another way to kind of support teams.
Working together as a team is so vital in the game. I can see DAOs using the game as a team building exercise
Mm.
because it is just that. And you have to be a good team member and or leader, and have to be able to seed leadership and understand when to voice things, when not to voice things. It's all it's the psychology behind playing. as a team on a voice chat with very experienced players and then not so experienced players. It's fun. So yeah, I could see that one's for the streets. I'll just throw that one out. That one's team building on Heroes for
It
Evermore.
feels like paintball, right? It feels a lot like paintball, like real time combat. Like you're like, "Oh, don't stick your head out," like.
I can concur. I can't remember when this was or why this was or what was going on, but I jumped in the Discord for a bit. I was watching you guys play. I think you guys were having some event, and I popped in for a little bit. I was watching you guys play, and it was absolute bedlam in the most fun way. Like you guys were like running around, and like I was some of you were sharing your screen, so I was watching some of your screens. You could see like map parts of the map being revealed and unveiled as you like run around corners and shit. You guys are like shouting like, "There's a goblin over there! Get the goblin! Get the goblin!" And they're like, "Wait, where's our sorcerer? What's the sorcerer doing? Cast a spell!" And I was like, oh, "Shit, what is going on right now? Like this seems like you guys are having the absolute time of your lives here, and like completely shouting at each other to do different shit." It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, and even if you're not playing, that's a great way to like kind of see what we're doing. Is just come watch one of the games, and you'll, as you say, like there's a lot of excitement, and even that's only half of the conversation because half of the team is there in the common room, usually streaming, and then the other half is in the room so that they can talk privately, so that the team, their coordination and their tactics aren't shared.
Mhm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had no idea what was going on, but it looks fun.
I could almost envision like if I could just have anything that I thought of, the thing I would think of would be a UI that shows like where everyone is and what actions they're taking from a neutral standpoint, like bird's eye, with the voice chat for both teams available, and you can click over channels
Like a spectator
and be
sport.
like, listen to what Dark was saying at this point, listen to what Light was saying at this point, and you can see on the map who's engaged and who's doing what. And yeah, that would be interesting. They have it in some sports, like you can listen to what they're saying on the bench here, and then click over and see what they're saying over here. Sort of take that in because the commands and the yelling. And it's funny, like sometimes I wonder as a team is destroying us, like I wonder what they're saying to each other. And sometimes I imagine that they're just not saying anything and they're so locked in that they're just not talking. And then it makes it hurt more because it's like, yeah, I bet they're just not even talking. They're just
There are definitely some teams that happens with. Even like if I play with people, if there's no communication and the team is kind of isn't grooving, you guys just kind of sit there in silence, and one person's like making calls, but it's not very effective if the team isn't working together. And I think one of the crazy parts is having the different tactics that you employ at different times. So, a different team really needs to communicate what they want to do. Are we going to be attacking, defending? Do we need to level? Should we go look for other teams? And yeah, making the team composition to be strong to begin with, and like that there's a mix of skills, it really changes the feel of battle.
well, I would be remiss if we didn't say that this podcast is brought to you by MetaGame. We are all MetaGame members. Penguin is the one who invited me to speak at MetaFest 1 over a year ago now. We are looking at MetaFest 2 right in the face coming at us soon. And I think we're all going to be doing one thing or another for MetaFest. Is there any talk that you're giving, Penguin, or anything that you'll be doing for MetaFest we can look forward to?
Yeah, I'll try and be pretty active in the presentation. I'll definitely be talking about Dropper. I'll have another session about Mud. I'll have maybe a workshop where I can teach people how to play. One of the other key ways to kind of engage with the game is you can spectate and actually jump into a match, and you won't be able to engage with any of the people or anything, but you'll be able to kind of like watch as if you were in the match. So that's an interesting way to kind of see what's happening without breaking anything.
So come to MetaFest, check out Metagame, check out Heroes of Evermore, Battle for Evermore. Battle of Evermore? Is it Battle of or Battle for?
Battle for Evermore. Yeah, I also really want to kind of get anyone that needs to speak that are friends of Metagame to fill out the apply form. We're filling out the schedule actively right now, and making sure that the people are synced in. So if you're someone that we need to talk to, you should make sure that you're on the schedule now because it's right around the corner. So, slots are filling up fast.
Do we know where to send the people?
Yeah, so go to metafest.metagame.wtf, and then I believe it's /pound apply, but I would just go to the metafest.metagame.wtf and then click the apply at the top of the header, and it's got several different applications that you can fill out. Reach out to myself or Tommy, and let us know that you filled it out. If you're one of our friends, we'll definitely make sure that we make sure to pay attention to it. So we're filling out those forms, and we've got a lot of different people that have filled it out. So we wanted to make sure that we give priority to the projects that are important and that people will care about. So yeah, Metafest is one of my favorite holidays of the year. Definitely one of my favorite conferences.
I'm pretty excited. It'll be my first MetaFest because I wasn't at the one last year. I joined. I've been in part of MetaGame for just a little over a year now, so I did not quite make MetaFest last time, but it'll be good. I'm pretty hyped.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. Everyone check out MetaFest, metafest.metagame.wtf, metagame.wtf, at MetaFam on Twitter, mud.xyz, that's mud.xyz. Penguin is at Computerx's on Twitter.
Yeah, C0MPUT3RXE.
Give Penguin a follow on Twitter. Come join the Heroes of Evermore Discord, the Battle for Evermore Discord. Pick yourself up a hero at the official OpenSea collection of Heroes of Evermore. I'll see you on the map, but you won't see me. Penguin, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. You have an open invitation to join us anytime, and looking forward to some great battles ahead of us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's gonna be a really, really fun month, and after that, it's only gonna get hotter. So thanks for having me on, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show for the second time. All right, I'm calling it now. Prophecy, first 3-time appearance, Penguin. Calling it right now on the books.
Good odds. They're good odds.
Dropper's pretty big. Dropper's pretty big.
3-peat, that's the word. First 3-peat will be Penguin.
And now, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by MetaGame. Visit us at metagame.wtf, wiki.metagame.wtf, and follow us on Twitter at MetaFam. MetaGame. Only if you stay up late at night. That was our interview with Penguin, interview number 2, covering all things Battle for Evermore, Heroes of Evermore. Full disclosure, I am an avid and ardent participant in the battles at mud.xyz. I am a first time mudder, as we discussed during the interview, and it's been a lot of fun coming into this world that is so established with players that have been playing for a very long time and being able to glean strategy and sharpen my skills in preparation for the masses to come in. Everybody check out MetaFest. It is coming up. If you go to metafest.metagame.wtf, you will see all of the dates and the speakers and the beautiful website that the devs over at Metagame have created. The show is back in full swing. We have interviews lined up. We should be releasing episodes weekly. We have a website that is being built and some burgeoning social media accounts that we will encourage you to follow in the future. For now, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Check out Metagame. And until next time, I'm Chair for Bacon saying mahalo.